Hello friends, very good morning to all of you. Last video we had discussed retinoblastoma gene. Today I will be taking the discussion more forward. Let's study some minor details of some other genes also. Like we have I think I have taught you already the RAS. How many types of RAS we have? We have KRAS. RAS we had studied last time, so I'm just naming the genes. KRAS, NRAS, and we have HRAS. Now I taught you last time, KRAS is for K for colon, lung, pancreas. Do you remember? I had made like this. Okay. So colon, lung, pancreas. These are the type of RAS which are affected in the tumors. So in colon, K type of RAS will be affected. In lung, K type of RAS will be affected. In pancreas, K type of RAS will be affected in case of RAS mutation. And we have NRAS causing N for M. So we have melanoma. We have N for M for M, AML. So we have blood tumors. Okay, these are all blood tumors. Then we have HRAS. I taught you kidneys are like this and we have a bladder. How I remember is the bladder tumors and kidney tumors, they are in the form of H. So we have HRAS for bladder and kidney. I had given you the trick to remember how you can remember this. Then we have another gene that is called MYC gene. MYC. We had a MYC gene. And this MYC gene, if you give a growth factor, MYC will increase, and MYC plus MAX, they form a heterodimer. This heterodimer will cause activation of transcription. And if you are forming more amount of these complexes, that means there will be a proliferation of nuclear transcription, isn't it? And you finally will have a cancer. If you don't have a growth factor, MYC will cause apoptosis. So it's with this MAX complex that it can be producing the cancer. Okay. By the way, the fact about this MYC is that this is the most common transcription factor. Okay. This is the most common transcription regulator which is affected in tumors. Okay. Now I had given you another type, MYC types, C-MYC, L-MYC, N-MYC. Okay. So I had given you C-MYC, L-MYC, N-MYC. When I say MYC, then MYC should be C. Before C comes B. B should be Burkitt's lymphoma. Okay. Then we have L-MYC. In the L-MYC we have L for lung. That means lung will have small cell carcinoma. Of lung. Then we have N. N is easy to remember. Neuroblastoma is for this. Okay. There. So these were all those important oncogenes which you need to remember. Okay. Do we know the fungus which was causing um liver cancer? Can we know the fungus which was causing liver cancer? I had taught you last time. That was Aspergillus, because Aspergillus produces a toxin that is called beta alpha toxin B1. I can say like this, alpha toxin. And this alpha toxin causes P53 mutations in liver. Okay. Can you tell me a parasite that can cause cholangiocarcinoma? So that was Opisthorchis sinensis. So Opisthorchis sinensis causes cholangiocarcinoma. Cholangiocarcinoma. Okay, fine. Now, do we remember there was a rat gene? Rat gene. Do we know rat gene? I had taught you last time. There is a loss of function mutation and a gain of function mutation. So, which type of mutation is happening in the rat? If rat gets, let us write like this: if rat gene gets loss of function mutation, if rat gene gets loss of function mutation, if rat gene gets loss of function mutation, it will form intestinal aganglionosis. Intestinal aganglionosis and Hirschsprung's disease. And if this rat gene gets a gain of function mutation, it will result in MAN2A2B syndrome. MAN2A2B syndrome. That is called multiple endocrine neoplasia. Multiple endocrine neoplasia. There. These are something you should remember like this. Make a card for yourself and remember with your own hand. Don't try to buy something from the market. Write everything from your hand. Understand it. If I get a loss of function, if I get a gain of function, what will happen? This is how you have to understand things. Okay. There. So you have all these red mutations which can produce this. So do we remember, by the way, there was another gene that was, what other gene can you remember? Yeah. Yeah. So do you remember the retinoblastoma? Have you understood the retinoblastoma gene? Phosphorylated state, dephosphorylated state. Have you understood it clearly? I would like to make you write some other genes also. There is a concept that was called as loss of heterozygosity. There's a concept called loss of heterozygosity. Loss of hetero. Loss of heterozygosity. Loss of heterozygosity. We last time discussed a gene that was retinoblastoma. Okay. Now, this concept of LOH will be used when you are discussing about neoplasia. Now, you normally have two alleles for retinoblastoma gene. If both of them get a problem, if both alleles, if both alleles of retinoblastoma get problem, I will write in simple language, get problem, okay, you will develop retinoblastoma. Now, what is the familial variant? What is the familial variant like the child is getting? What is the familial variant a child is getting? In familial variant, the child is getting one normal and one defective allele. One normal and one defective allele. He gets a one normal and a one defective allele. One copy, one copy is normal, one is defective. Of what? Retinoblastoma. You will call this person, this child, heterozygous, where one allele is normal and other is mutant. You will tell me, if I have one normal and another I have abnormal, is there, can the cell work at least on this one? Yes. The cell function will be normal at least because one is still in living, isn't it? One is still living. So you will not be having any problem. So heterozygosity, is it a good thing in retinoblastoma or a bad thing? Hetero means different. Is it a good thing in retinoblastoma or bad thing? If a child is having a heterozygosity, is it a good news? Yes. In case of retinoblastoma, it's a good news because he is safe. He is safe. At least one is working. But what if this second one gets mutated? Will you increase the probability of having the cancer or not? So loss of heterozygosity for the normal retinoblastoma gene, can I call this concept as loss of heterozygosity? And this concept is basically the foundation of a hypothesis that is called Knudson's two-hit hypothesis. Knudson's two-hit hypothesis. So Knudson's two-hit hypothesis is basically based on this concept of loss of heterozygosity, where the concept is that if you have in the familial variant of the child born with a retinoblastoma, one copy, where one copy is normal, where one of the allele of the gene is normal while the other is mutant. So the child is safe till the time he is heterozygous for the retinoblastoma gene. But once the second copy gets affected, once the second copy gets mutated of the second allele, there becomes the highest probability of the child to contact to start the process of carcinogenesis. And this concept of getting where the loss of the second allele is happening, mutation is happening of the second normal allele, this concept is known as loss of heterozygosity for the normal retinoblastoma gene. And this concept is very basics of Knudson's two-hit hypothesis. So I will be discussing, have you understood this concept, loss of heterozygosity? You can write, I think, by yourself. You can repeat the video, take it back and then write, okay? No need to waste time again and again. So then comes the concept of Knudson's two-hit hypothesis. So Knudson's two-hit hypothesis. Just a second, guys. Let me join the class. So Knudson's two-hit hypothesis, to be very short and clear, Knudson's two-hit hypothesis, basically, I told you that loss of heterozygosity is the basic concept behind that. And he says, if you want to develop a retinoblastoma, your both the normal alleles should be inactivated. There. So Knudson's two-hit hypothesis, he is saying that both the normal alleles should be inactivated by some way so that you can get a retinoblastoma. You can get a retinoblastoma, this cancer. Okay. Now this retinoblastoma, I told you, it can be of two types. It can be an inherited type, or you call also it a familial type. And this familial type is contributing to about 40%, you see, this type of variety. So What happens is that you already had one genetic hit. Did you had a hit, genetic hit from your parents? A gene you got, that gene was already hit from that parent. So your all the somatic cells of the body will have this one hit. But you know itself from the loss of heterozygosity that one gene is not sufficient to produce a cancer. It's only the second hit, the second mutation. That's hit means mutation. Just remember, hit is equal to mutation. Hit is equal to mutation. So when you have a second hit, I know you haven't read the genetics in your first year. We're just trying to make it simple for you. So second hit will be producing a cancer. So the retina of the patient will have this. Okay. So what happens in the retinal cells that they already have that first hit. If I talk about the retina, this retina cell has already the first hit, guys. And now when they have a second mutation, a second hit, now they will get retinoblastoma. This is this concept, simple concept. And then another variety which you have is the sporadic retinoblastoma. And this is 40, this should be 60%. So you will have both the hits in the somatic, and that single retinal cell which has that both the hits will form a tumor. So you have both mutations somatically, simply. So what to remember is both mutations somatically. So in sporadic you have what we will say. If I ask what is sporadic, you will say, sir, both your normal retinoblastoma alleles have been lost by somatic mutation. But if I say familial case, you will say, sir, one is normal, one is already hit. Okay, that was having that. Then now if I give it a spontaneous somatic mutation, then you will be able to see that. Okay, so by the way, what is the risk for familial retinoblastoma? If our patients have familial retinoblastoma, what is the risk that they will have a tumor? Which tumor? Which tumor? Osteosarcoma. So a patient with inherited familial variety will have an increased risk of having osteosarcoma. Osteosarcoma. Clear? Okay. Now there is one gene that is called TP53. Let us take the another gene that is TP53, guys. This TP53 is called as guardian of genome. Guardian of genome. Or you also call it molecular policeman. T53 is located on chromosome number 17p, and the molecular weight of the protein is 53 kilodalton. So what is happening is if you inactivate, I will make it simple. If you inactivate TP53, if you inactivate P53, you will get, you won't be able to repair the DNA. So if you are not able to repair the DNA, will you develop a tumor? Yes. Simple concept. It is simple concept, as simple as that. If you are inhibiting P53, you won't have this DNA repair, because you know at every point the cell is checking whether the genetic material is rightly made, whether the protein is rightly made. And if it finds that a cell has been made during that checkpoint process, it finds that the cell is having any impaired protein, impaired genomic sequence, then the cell should undergo apoptosis at the same point. Otherwise, that cell will pass on generations. You will get that proliferative scenario. Okay. So this is basically producing, this P53 is producing your 53 kilodalton phosphoprotein. Okay, nuclear phosphoprotein. Now, what is this P53? It is causing, if you have See, basically, it has been seen that no more than 50% of the cancers have a loss of function mutations happening. Loss of function mutation happening in the P53, isn't it? Loss of function you can understand now. Then we have a syndrome with this P53 that is called Li-Fraumeni syndrome. This Li-Fraumeni syndrome is being produced by, so what is happening is, if you have an inactivating mutation in both the alleles of P53, okay, if you have an inactivating mutation in the both the alleles of P53 seen in the somatic cells. Now, if one individual gets one mutant P53, okay, and the second hit which he gets in his lifetime, that may inactivate the normal P53 allele, because I'm talking right now about one inherited P53 allele. So this condition in which you get the second hit will be called a Li-Fraumeni syndrome. So second hit of P53 which you get, so you already had one hit from your familial case, but it was in the somatic cell, okay, and you got a second hit. That second hit will inactivate the P53 allele which was normal, will be called as Li-Fraumeni syndrome. The Li-Fraumeni syndrome is a syndrome, so has many cancers. So you will have a sarcoma, breast carcinoma, leukemia, brain tumor. So what to remember? Sarcoma, breast carcinoma, leukemia, and brain tumor. This is your Li-Fraumeni syndrome. Okay, do we remember any virus which was inactivating the P53? Yes, human papilloma virus, because it was producing that E6 protein, yes, was responsible for production of anal and genital cancer, isn't it? So anal carcinoma, genital, HPV. Okay, I hope I have taught you this already. Yeah, so if you have a HPV virus, it will be producing an E6 protein, will be inhibiting P53, will finally cause this. Okay. By the way, do you know who other things which activate the P53? Anoxia. Anoxia activates P53. Okay. Mutated oncoproteins activate P53. Mutated oncoproteins activate P53. Okay. And DNA damage also. This activates P53. Yes, it should activate. Guardian of genome should actually start the process of apoptosis. Okay, so it is the beauty that nature has given us, that the P53 should get activated when you have any defective genetic material in the newly formed cell. Okay, so you have DNA damage sensors. You have some DNA damage sensors. Let me write, you have some DNA damage sensors. See, we can also learn neoplasia in depth, but what is important at our undergraduate level, that is to be studied. I don't know why they start teaching you postgraduate neoplasia, but I think the basics should be understood. Some syndromes, some names which have significance. Okay, is the sound clear, guys? Are we energetic? Is anyone having birthday from you? Anyone having birthday today? Birthday from you people? No birthday? Okay, no birthday. Okay, so now DNA damage sensors. I thought I should wish you, because yeah, you are my special people. So DNA damage sensors. We have DNA damage sensors. We have two protein kinases. Remember, we have two protein kinases which do this. Protein kinases. Make it simple. Make it simple. Don't try to make it something which you won't read at after that. It feels for some time that you are enjoying, but read something which is enjoyable for a long period of time. So write that way, understand that way. Okay. So because I myself, being a medical student, have seen what happens when you are studying something and you are not able to recapitulate. So read writes in such a way so that you don't become boredom. There should not be any boredom. So you have ataxia, telangiectasia mutated. So you have two protein kinases. So we have ataxia, telangiectasia mutated. It is called ataxia telangiectasia mutated, that is ATM, automated teller machine for getting the money. No. And next we have ataxia telangiectasia and RAD3 related. So ataxia telangiectasia and RAD3 related, guys. So we have ATR. Okay. Now what is the function of these kinases is they phosphorylate P53 and then they produce MDM2. So what is the function of these two is that these kinases, they will phosphorylate, that is phosphorylate what? P53. Okay, and then they produce from this MDM2. If you activate the P53, then you will have upregulation of proteins called P21 proteins. And these P21s, do you remember from that cell cycle that the cell cycle was getting arrested at G1S checkpoint? Do you remember? So that we can repair the DNA. Yeah, exactly. So this MDM2, so finally what you get is if you activate the P53. Okay, so one method, this is we are reading the methods. So how are the methods that we are able to prevent the genetically defective cells to propagate? What are the ways? So one way is to DNA damage sensors. Number one. Number two is I activate the P53 and that P53 upregulates the P21 and that P21 will start the cell cycle arrest. And if the cell cycle arrest, which phase it is? G1S. It's G1S checkpoint. So in the G1X checkpoint, you are causing this arrest. And if DNA is repaired, this MDM2, where is that MDM2? Yeah, this MDM2 will increase. So MDM2 transcription increases so that P53 can degrade. This is an important point. P53 degradation. Clear? And you are letting the cell to go into S phase. That's what I want to say. So what I said, if DNA is repaired, what you should start, you should let that cell to go into the S phase, synthetic phase. So what you do, you should degrade the P53 because you know active P53 upregulates P21 that arrests the cell cycle. But if I degrade the P53, you will allow the cell to go into the cell cycle, isn't it? Guys, I think you are sleeping. Finally, what you are getting, you are activating the cell cycle, letting it to go into S phase. And I hope you are sleeping, isn't it? You should sleep, isn't it? Yeah, should sleep. Why to study for medicine, isn't it? Enjoy life, isn't it? You don't care about patients. No, this should not be done. You should care about them, okay? You should study so much that you can give them the best treatment. So S phase, okay? Now, sir, the problem is that I am not able to repair the. So don't go into more details of neoplasia. I'm telling you, just undergraduate level, what is important is study that. Okay, you should know the markers, you should know the genes, you should know the loss of heterozygosity. These are some things which is basic for neoplasia. Now, if I'm not able to damage the DNA, no, I'll see what I'm saying. I had to say, if I'm not able to repair the DNA which is damaged, do you think the cell should go into apoptosis? Now you are not having that capacity to repair. You are not having that capacity to repair. So do you want the cell to undergo apoptosis? Kill it. Yeah, so that's what P53 does. If you are not able to, I am rolling my pen in my hands. If you are not able to repair the DNA damage, P53 will start the process of apoptosis. Is it difficult? Is it difficult, guys? No, it's not difficult, isn't it? So by the way, do you know P53 has a bigger brother? There is a big brother of P53 that is called P73. What is the elder brother of P53? Elder brother. Elder brother. If you want to say broader in new style, you say broader, isn't it? Elder brother P73. P73 is the elder brother of P53. They are family. We have a family. Now I talk about a family. Okay. Remember P53 family. P50 family has P63 and P73. P63, P53, P63 and P73. Don't make me laugh, isn't it? Otherwise lecture will stop there only, isn't it? You crack these jokes and I won't be able to. So this just I will give you an example. Okay, sir, what is the use of P63? So should I speak like that or I should make it difficult to make it more, some people want to speak something, that those only know. We don't know that. Okay, so we'll make it easy. Just remember P63 is required for the differentiation of stratified squamous epithelium. P63 is required for the differentiation of stratified squamous epithelium. And P73 is a pro-apoptotic effect. Pro-apoptotic effective gene. Okay, so what do you do when you are giving a patient, a cancer patient, a chemotherapy? What happens? You are damaging it, isn't it? So you damage the DNA of that cell. What you do is P73 will start doing pro-apoptosis. P73 will start doing pro-apoptosis. Yeah. So what is the way that cell is finally causing death of the cell? Okay. Let us make a chart for you so that your life becomes easy. Okay. Let us connect it like this. What happens that when you get a DNA damage, DNA damaged, DNA damaged, what will happen? This damaged DNA will lead to P53 accumulation, and P53 accumulation binds to DNA. Okay, binds to DNA. And what it does is, then DNA damage can be due to anything. It can happen because of, I have taught you those carcinogens, mutagens, any sort of radiations, UVB, UVC. Okay, what will happen? If this happens, DNA damage happens, if there is P53 normal, so what you will call that? If there is P53 normal type or wild type, isn't it? So what will happen? That DNA will damage. P53 will get activated. If P53 will get activated, it will bind to DNA. And this will cause activation of all those genes which are dependent on P53. So first you should remember which genes depend on P53. So P21 depends on P53. GAD45 depends on P53. Box, do you remember box, apoptotic gene, box and bug? Box and bug I have taught you, yeah. So I hope you remember from that. So this is all the things what happens. So what will happen that P53 in the increase binds to the DNA, activates those genes which are dependent on the P53 and will start expressing all those genes will start activating. So we have P21. So P21, I hope you know what does P21 do? Inhibit stash CDK4. CDK4 arrests the cell cycle at G1S. Do you remember? Arrests the cell cycle at G1S. Clear? At the same time, the beautiful thing about this cell is that it is at the same time stopping the cell you have arrested. First you arrest. See, I am in a worker, I am in a company. So I am here standing and I am here packing some phones, mobile phones. If I see any mobile, this mobile phone is moving in a serial. So one mobile phone comes, I I manipulate it and then I pass it. I say tick. I put tick on it and it goes to the other counter, isn't it? So we have people like this working here. Now here I see it. What I do, I arrest it. I arrest. I have a person at my back who can repair this. I say here you don't have a sticker. So I don't have a sticker on the mobile phone. So what I do, I take this mobile phone and pass it to my back. I tell this person, please repair this. Please put a sticker on it. He gives me back this phone with the sticker and now I approve it. Tick and then it goes forward. It's the same way the cell is doing, that it is arresting first the cell by using the gene P21, inhibits the CDK4 and will arrest the cell at the G1S phase till that it gets the repair. So who will repair? Who is this guy at the back? This is the GAD45 DNA repair. GAD45 starts the DNA repair. So at the same time you will have activation of, so you are having P21 and then we have GAD45. GAD45. This GAD45 will start DNA repair. It will start DNA repair and then you have that repair of the gene and finally you start making a normal cell, isn't it? This is what is ideally happening. And at the same time, if you have DNA mutation, but I already have what? I have P53 already. Now I give you abnormal. I tell you abnormal now. Let us take a red sparkle pen. I give you abnormal now. Abnormal. I already had a P53 loss of mutation. I don't have P53. Will I damage the DNA? DNA damage. Will you activate the P53 dependent things? Can you arrest the cell cycle? Can you repair the cell cycle? Can you repair the DNA? Can you repair the DNA? No, you can't do these things. You can't do these things. Can't do these things. Can't do these things means I'm not able to activate the P53 because P53 is damaged already now. There is loss of P53. How can you activate those things which are dependent on it? Fine. And you won't have any DNA repair. You won't have any cell cycle arrest. Finally, you will reach to a mutant cell. And you know, cell body is always trying to prevent itself from cancer. So mutant cells, what they will do, they will start making proliferations. When they make a proliferation, you will get a tumor. By the way, if at the same time I was activating the box also, do we remember I was activating the box and this box was causing apoptosis, pro-apoptotic gene, and it could fall what? Apoptosis. But this process would start only after the repair has not happened. If I am incapable of doing a repair, then box will start working. I'll be able to understand. Normally I am speaking normally. I forgot to write this. So normally you have box activation when your repair is failing repair. So failure of repair, you should start the apoptosis. But in today, in abnormal, I can't do anything. I don't have any P53 dependent things. I can't never start the P21. I can't start the GAD45. I can't start the box. And pro-apoptotic gene is not there. So I won't be able to do apoptosis. And that's why these mutant cells will go expansion. They will form more amount of tumors and will give a malignant variety of tumor in front of me. Are we clear? Do you know MIR43? Do you know MIR43? MIR43. It feels like a caste, isn't it? MIR34, sorry, not 43. Do you know MIR34? You don't know MIR34? See what happens when I have any sort of a DNA damage in my normal cell. What I do is I activate the P53. So P53 binds to DNA. There happens a MIR34 transcribes. MIR34 gets transcribed and processed. And this MIR34 does two things after processing. It inhibits the growth promoting genes, that is MYC-CDK4. So you lead the cell to senescence and it inhibits the BCL2. Do you remember BCL2 was an anti-apoptotic gene? If you inhibit this anti, that means you are letting apoptosis. So this is the MIR. So this is the MIR34 doing. Okay. So sometimes they may ask you this, so I thought I should give you here on. Clear? Clear, guys? Yeah. Now I would like you to understand one concept. Which gene is causing what? So that you can remember it forever. Okay. So like we have von Hippel-Lindau. Do you know von Hippel-Lindau disease? Do you know von Hippel-Lindau, guys? Von Hippel-Lindau, VHL. Let me write for you, VHL. Okay. So von Hippel-Lindau. Von Hippel-Lindau. So von Hippel-Lindau, what is it? So what was the function? What was the genetic product of VHL? It was producing hypoxia inducible factor 1A, isn't it? VHL, the product of this VHL, the product is hypoxia inducible factor 1A, isn't it? And then we get this von Hippel-Lindau disease. Von Hippel-Lindau disease. Now this von Hippel-Lindau, what you have to remember about this is the gene. So the gene is, so what is the chromosome affected? 3p25 locus 3, isn't it? Okay, chromosome 3, short arm, 25 locus 3. So how to remember? How to remember this is, how I remember, I'm giving you some tricks to remember. See, VHL is a 3-letter. So remember, we have a 3-letter disease. We have a 3-letter disease. And this 3-letter disease causes is related to renal cell carcinoma because it's also 3-letter. HAB. What is HAB? What is HAB? Anyone? I have taught you already, guys. Don't show me bogus faces. Third year people. What is HAB? Okay, this is for you. Okay, keep it with you. Okay. So then we have FEO. So you will fix it yourself what it is. Okay, I've taught you already. RCC, HAB, FEO. I have given this last time. You should check those videos. RCC, HAB, FEO. So how I remember this? So whenever they ask me von Hippel-Lindau disease, so 3-letter disease, renal cell carcinoma, RCC, FEO. Okay. Then we have another tumor in surgery. We'll be discussing more about this. That's Wilms tumor. Hemangioblastoma. Yeah. What about this? Wilms tumor. Wilms tumor, we have two. We have WT1 and WT2. The chromosome which is affected, WT1 is 11p13. 11p13 and WT2 is 11p15.5. Okay, so how I remember this Wilms tumor, the chromosome is, I put 11 like this, I put a W, and from this W, can I make 11? Yes. Can I make 11, guys? Okay, what about adenomatous polyps, APC? Adenomatous polyposis colon, isn't it? APC. What is APC? Adenomatous polyposis coli. So adenomatous polyposis coli is seen with APC gene. APC gene on which chromosome? Located on 5q22.2. 5q22.2. 5q22.2, guys. 5q22.2. Why it's not writing? Yeah, now it's writing. 5q22.2. And how I remember APC is that, how I remember this chromosome, because I know COLO and colon is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 is here. So let us take another disease. I hope we know that this disease was with a very famous Hollywood star Angelina Jolie Pitt. He was having BRCA1 mutation. Okay, BRCA1 mutation. Okay, that is right. That is BRCA1 breast carcinoma. So she is now very much worried. She should be worried because we know BRCA1 mutation causes the tumors, breast and ovary. So what should be she next concerned about? What should be she next concerned about? If she already had a surgery for breast, maybe I don't know whether she had a surgery for breast. She had, I think, yeah. Now she should be concerned about, guys, you are so much, I think you were intelligent. Ovary. I'm telling you yours from this side only that this will happen, this will happen. So you just have to utter the same thing. So if I have a BRCA1 gene mutation. So BRCA1 gene mutation will cause hereditary breast and ovary carcinoma of these two. So the gene, what is the chromosome number? So chromosome number is 17q2131. 17q2131. How to remember the chromosome? How to remember the chromosome? The chromosome I remember is by Angelina Jolie Pitt, isn't it? Brad Pitt is there? Yeah. So Angelina Jolie Pitt, how many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 17. This is your answer. Okay. This is how I remember. Finished? Okay. This is how we can remember this. Okay. So we also have another mutation that is BRCA2 mutation. Okay. We also have another mutation that is BRCA2. So BRCA2, the chromosome number, the BRCA2 we have 13q13. Okay. 13q13. 13q13.1. It causes breast only, breast. Hereditary breast carcinoma. Okay. So they will ask you which of the following will cause breast carcinoma in both men and women? Which of the following genes will cause breast carcinoma in both? So BRCA2. So how I remember 2 is 2 means male and female. So they will ask you BRCA1 or BRCA2 mutation. So BRCA2 you should write. Breast carcinoma in men and women. Okay. So this is the smart way how we learn. Guys, are we clear or we are laughing? Now next gene we take is retinoblastoma 1. RB1. So RB1 causes the tumor with RB1 is retinoblastoma and osteosarcoma. Retinoblastoma, osteosarcoma. And how to remember this is, it's present on chromosome number 13q14.2. Retinoblastoma can be remembered by like this. If I write retinoblastoma is written like this. So can we see it is written like 13? If I write R for retinoblastoma, is it like 13 or not? Is it 13 or not, guys? This is your 13. Okay. So osteosarcoma also you can remember. Okay. What about neurofibromatosis? So neurofibromatosis and NF1 gene. And we also have NF2 gene. So how to remember is NF1 gene causes neurofibromas. It causes neurofibromas. Okay. And NF2 causes acoustic neuromas, bilateral vestibular acoustic schwannomas. We remember that? Bilateral. This is we'll learn in ENT also. Bilateral vestibular acoustic schwannomas. Vestibular acoustic schwannomas. So bilateral, you can write bilateral vestibular schwannomas and meningiomas. Okay. So how to remember its chromosome? It's 2, here it's 22, Q 12.2. So 22 chromosome. So chromosome will be 22. I think we have covered pretty much every gene which is important for you. I want to write, we forgot some genes, I think, which were, having those mutations. Okay. So let me make you remember some mix. How to remember some mix. Okay. How I remember some mix is, let me write like this. So we wrote CMYC. If you put CMYC, if you put a combination of CMYC with IGH, okay, you will get tumor. If you put CMYC next to IGH, so translocation 814. So translocation of 8 to 14, you will make a tumor, because if you get this combination, you get a tumor. Okay. So what was CMYC causing? First, let us ask you, what was CMYC causing? CMYC was causing dash, that is Burkitt's lymphoma. So how to remember it is causing Burkitt's lymphoma is that Burkitt can be written in form of 8 U R K, and this K I will written 14. Can you remember Burkitt's lymphoma CMYC? Can you remember Burkitt's lymphoma CMYC? I don't know whether you are understanding my thing, what I am saying or not. Isn't it an easy way to make you help you? Almic you can write, isn't it? Anemic you can remember neuroblastoma. Almic for lung. So that is simple, so simple to remember. Okay. Now I want you to understand another thing, that is ARB. Okay. ARB. We have ARB 1 oncogene, ARB 2 oncogene, ARB 3 oncogene. I told you ARB1 is producing squamous cell carcinoma of lung. ARB2 means breast or 2, isn't it? Breast are 2. So ARB2 breast, ovaries are 2, that is ovary. Lungs are 2, that is lungs. Okay. This is how I can remember. Okay. And ARB3 is for breast only. Okay. It's easy to remember. It causes breast. What happens that you are producing more amount of receptors. What is the problem? More receptors and more growth factors. Can I call it amplification? So which of the three is having amplification? Amplification, not amplification. ARB2 is having amplification. ARB2 has amplification. ARB1 has overexpression. Okay. So remember, what is the problem? You are having more amounts of growth factor receptor. More amounts of growth factor receptor. And ARB3 also has overexpression. Over middle one is amplification. Amplification means you have more than 2 copies, more copies of the gene. Okay. Now see, this was about your GAD45 and apoptosis and microRNA link. By the way, what is about the microRNA, by the way? If you have P53 accumulation, what is the effect on the microRNA? Anyone? If I had drawn this chart, what is the effect on the microRNA family? Where is that? Where did we write? Yeah. So what is the effect? Where is that? Yeah. So you effect when you have a DNA, this P53 accumulation. What is the effect on Should write fast, yes or no. What is the effect on microRNA family? Mir family. Mir family, guys, Mir family. Guys, Mir family, microRNA family, what happened? I have taught you, I think, Mir family. So you will have more amount of inhibition of anti-apoptotic gene. That is, apoptosis will happen. But what about link RNA? What about link RNA? If I attach this to, if I take this concept to this biochemistry, molecular genetics. So what about link RNA? What about link RNA, guys? Just yes or no. Just write yes or no. That's what is the way that we can just speak, because I'm waiting for your answers. So link RNA, it starts blockage of, if you activate link RNA, you block the cell cycle. Remember, like this. So you reach the senescence. Senescence. Okay. Can you tell me who is the gatekeeper of colonic neoplasia? Gatekeeper of colonic neoplasia, it is APC. APC is also known as gatekeeper of colonic neoplasia. What it does, by the way, APC is a tumor suppressor gene. It will downregulate the WNT signaling pathway. WNT signaling pathway. Okay. And this APC protein also is a negative regulator of beta catenin. Okay. That means it degrades the beta catenin. I have to remember this thing. Okay. So there should be some genes also who were regulating the apoptosis. Had we some genes which were regulating the apoptosis? Okay, like we have Bucks and Bach, BCLXX, P53, and we know that apoptosis is inhibited by BCL2 family, isn't it? Now, if you increase the BCL2, what would happen? You will inhibit the apoptosis. That means you are going into cancer phase. You are living long. So that is the reason I gave you an example last time. That was follicular lymphoma, where I was having a translocation of 1418. So in follicular lymphoma, I was having a translocation of 1418 translocation. So you know chromosome 14 has immunoglobulin heavy chain gene, and 18 has BCL2 gene. So now you tell me it has translocated, it has given an additive effect. So there is more expression of BCL2, isn't it? You have translocated 1418. Translocation means you removed one gene from one chromosome and attached it to the other chromosome, isn't it? That's what is translocation. I think you know this. So you are actually inducing the apoptosis. You are preventing the apoptosis, and that means you are actually favoring the development of carcinoma. So can you tell me some myeloid leukemias? Can you tell me some myeloid leukemias which are being caused by any carcinogen? So acute myelocytic leukemia was caused by benzene. Nasal T cell lymphoma was caused by Epstein-Barr virus. Remember? So you should have a look on these. It's important. It's more important to understand. So in virology, I will be taking that. Okay. Cancers, how they are causing, how they are producing those products. Let us give you some because you people are confused about MERS. Let me write something about MERS. Okay. Let me write something about MERS. You are confused about MERS. Okay. MERS. Basically, MERS, microRNA. Okay. We have, what is MER, by the way? These are basically single-stranded RNA which have around 22 nucleotides. What they do is these MERS are actually doing inhibition of messenger RNA. How they induce, they by using something called RISC. What is RISC? RNA induced silencing complex. RNA induced silencing complex. RNA-induced silencing complex. So what is basically this MER doing is that MERs are, they can be of various types. They can be tumor suppressive MER. They can be tumor suppressive MER. They can be onco-MERs. So IR should be capital. IR should be capital. Okay. They can be dicer. I think you have read this in no, you haven't read. That's why you're asking. So tumor suppressive MER. Just I will give you a concept. If you decrease tumor suppressive MER, you will increase the oncogenic mRNA. Just remember like this. If you decrease the MERs, you will increase the oncogenic mRNA translation. So they will ask you which MERs are tumor suppressive. We have MER 15, MER 16. If you delete these MERs, you are actually giving a life to BCL2, and that's what is happening in CLL. CLL, that is chronic lymphocytic leukemia. These cancers you have to study individually in every system. That is, blood has its own WBC cancers, a big topic, very big topic, and a complex too. So we have chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Then we have onco-MER. Onco-MER means if you produce more onco-MERs, you will actually inhibit the tumor suppressor gene. And the examples are again two, MER 155 and MER 200. Now, if you start making more MER 155, you increase MYC, and this causes B cell lymphoma. Can we remember that story? B cell lymphoma. So if you get more MERs, let me write it cleanly. If you get more of this MIR 155, you are actually increasing the MYC. You are actually causing B cell lymphoma. Clear? What is the function of MER 200? This should naturally come in your brain. MER 200 is causing invasion and metastasis. Do we remember a concept called epithelial mesenchymal transition? Yes, epithelial mesenchymal transition. So by that way they can do epithelial mesenchymal transition. Then what is the next MER we had written? Dicer. So dicer is MIR. This is all written in the Robbins, guys. You can check the books. You are not studying the books. That's the reason you are not knowing this. I think he has also mentioned this. So dicer, MER, processing factors. Basically, DICER is a processing factor, and it produces a substance called endonuclease. And this endonuclease is used. Just think, if you have dicer, you will have a functional MER. So MER is himself dependent on dicer. So if you want a functionally competent MER, you should have a dicer. And this dicer is having tumor suppressive property, and that's why it forms tumor suppressive MER. Okay, and the mutations with this is causing testicular tumor, testes and ovary. I remember these like eggs, testes and ovary, testes in male, ovary in female. Is there any doubt in this? Now I give you every relation. I have given it everything. I am relating integrated manner, the perfect integrated manner what I am trying to attach. So let's check the next video for paraneoplastic syndromes. Okay. So thank you.